Here's why you want a really boring job. Ouch. By How Money Works. Let's check this out. I don't know if I want a boring job or if you do. There might be a good reason. Let's find out. Before watching the video, I'll tell you, if you're considering a boring job or you're not sure, try it. You can try both. You have a lot of time in your career. You can work for a company that has a big mission that you believe in with a tough, demanding job. And you can work for a boring company that pays okay or pays great, and people are not excited to go to work. Exploring both options will allow you to answer those questions, like what's right for me, better than any video can.
I was watching the 1999 movie Office Space the other day, a comedy set at the peak of the 1990s corporate culture. It is one of my all-time favorite movies, but the more I watch it, the more I notice something. The core of this comedy is its cynical commentary on working a boring job at a boring company. But the more I watch it, the better the jobs of Peter and his coworkers look.
Office Space, funny movie, great movie. I love it. Be careful. This cynical take on work is so tempting. Wow. Why, go through this process of discovering the impact you want to have on the world, who you can help, get an education, when you can just get a boring job? I'd be wary of that if I was you. It's not the only way to live. I've met so many folks who have great lives, great careers. I'd rather study what's working well for them before I decide to get a boring job at a boring corporation and think that my work life sucks. I invite you to do the same.
This made me think of the classic anecdote. Find a job you love and you will never work a day in your life. To find a job that you love doing so that you are excited to go to work every day and you don't feel like you are working at all. But I want to do what I do best, which is to rein in on this parade of finding fulfillment through your work. Instead, I want to try and convince you that what you want instead is a really boring job. A job that doesn't make you or anybody else excited. A job that nobody would dream of.
Okay, we went from cynical to very cynical take on work, and that was a little bit too quick for me. Believing that all corporations are evil, that all mission-based jobs are too demanding, that every boss you'll work for in a purposeful company will be mean, it's just not accurate, right? I understand that more competition and a drive for work can bring about additional challenges, but to pretend like it's going to be hard, it's going to suck no matter what, it's just too black and white.
There are lots of very attractive jobs out there that for a number of factors would appear to be preferable over other jobs. There is being a doctor, lawyer, or high-level corporate executive, which is enticing because these roles are traditionally very well paid and are very well respected by society at large. These roles come with the expectation of very long and irregular hours, to say nothing of the years of grueling study or corporate butt-kissing needed to get the jobs in the first place. So what about jobs that people are more passionate about? Imagine getting paid to make video games or attend fashion events around the world. Sounds like a dream, right? Well, no. Big-name companies in aspirational industries are more often than not terrible places to work.
Big name companies and aspirational industries are terrible places to work. Ouch. If you want to think this way, you got to think about it through a scientific lens. You can actually study this, find out what places are being rated as top places to work. You can actually talk to people working at those companies. To say that, these great places are terrible places to work, it's just painting the world of work as much darker of a place than it needs to be.
Another reason it's best to avoid doing what you love for work is that you won't love it forever. Even the most exciting jobs you can imagine have a lot of boring work that comes with them. A video game tester will spend most of their time doing the same mission over and over again to make sure there are no bugs. And most people that work for NFL teams spend their days in an office answering emails just like everybody else.
I guess at the end of the day, it depends on why you clicked on this video. Are you watching YouTube to confirm your current biases, or do you want to learn something new? It's got to be both, okay? I'm not pretending like everyone watches YouTube to learn a different way of looking at the world. No, you're going to watch it to confirm your biases. And if you look at the comments, you're going to find out right away where people are coming from. Did they click on this video because they want confirmation that boring work is the best path forward? Probably. But in your case, if you're trying to figure out what your ambitions are, what you're trying to do at work, you've got to know there are some people out there that love what they do, they enjoy what they do, they work in a purpose-based company, and they're on a path to success that they enjoy, and it's not a miserable experience, right? But it's true that if you're working somewhere where people are striving or ambitious, it could bring about different ways of working that you might not enjoy.
Even if a dream job does manage to live up to its hype initially, there is one surefire way to end up hating something you originally loved, and that is being forced to do it for 40 hours a week with the threat of homelessness hanging over you if you don't.
The threat of homelessness hanging over you if you don't. Listen, this is some people's experience at work. You know, there's fear. I don't know if there's fear of homelessness for everyone, but it is a cynical take on work. Be wary of that. I've met with hundreds of people that are working. I've met with thousands of students who are preparing to work, and I like to categorize them. Are these people that believe that they probably won't enjoy work? I mean, what about you? Do you agree or disagree? I probably won't enjoy working. I've met some people that believe they will enjoy working. What difference would it make in your life right now if you believe that you will find a career that you enjoy? It comes down to having an abundance mindset or a scarcity mindset.
Hopefully, I have convinced you that exciting jobs are not all that they seem.
Again, that one hurts. Maybe you came to this video looking for evidence of that. And listen, I won't hide to you, like, it's not easy to work, and some people are miserable in their jobs. However, there is an opportunity for you to find something that's a good match, that's a good fit for you. And it will change as your career evolves. But giving up before you've started on the possibility of having a great career, it's a shame to me. It's a missed opportunity because so many people are doing it. It may be better for you to learn from them, talk to them, break down how they did it, and apply those principles to your life. The trick in differentiating boring jobs from dream jobs, based on the hundreds of adults that I met working in their professional lives, is that one person's boring job is another person's dream job. Let me explain. Depending on how people experience their day-to-day reality, depending on how they fit, depending on how much they were able to use their strengths, depending on how much empowerment they felt or didn't feel, based on real conditions, like did they have good bosses or not, or just their own take, would dictate their entire working experience, like what they thought of it. Let me give you two examples. I worked with a consumer goods packaging company that made coffee cups. Okay, to some people, this is a boring company, boring mission, boring job. Speak to two different people, though, and you'll find out one of them is having an amazing experience at work. Not only are they being paid well, they're enjoying leading teams, they like what they're working on, they're looking forward to what's coming in the future. Speak to another person, they're miserable. It's not a good fit for their skills, they're not using their strengths, they feel out of control, out of power. Why is this story relevant to you? Well, for me, it helped me see that in the same company, same job, two people could be having completely different experiences. One is in a boring job, one's in a dream job, and they're practically in the same job title. So a lot of it depends on you. The same thing happened to me working with purposeful, mission-based companies, like the YMCA, for example. I met people who loved what they did and other people who are miserable in literally the same job.
But surely that doesn't mean that a boring job is the best alternative, right? Well, they have a few big perks that a lot of people don't really consider. A boring job at a boring company will on average be easier to get than the rare, more prized jobs at exciting companies.
When you use the words easy or hard in a career, it's an illusion. You just have to pick your hard. Everywhere has hard. There's some parts of a boring job that are really hard. It's hard not to have mission, meaning, purpose. It's hard not to have drive or energy in the morning. And maybe in some places that are dream jobs, it's more competitive, you work more hours, that's hard. It's not about moving away from hard, it's about picking the hard you want to work on.
Boring jobs will also on average pay better. Ford's median employee made $64,316 in 2018, including bonuses, overtime, and stock awards. GM's median employee made slightly more than $77,849. Tesla, a far more exciting business, paid its median employee just $56,163. This, of course, will not be true for every company, but again, if there are more people that want to work at a company, then generally that company can get away with paying their workers less.
In his definition, a boring job pays more than a non-boring job. Again, it's not necessarily true.
Time and time again, we hear stories about high staff turnover and toxic workplace culture in companies that sound exciting from the outside. This is because when managers believe what they are doing is more important than just working a job to make a living, they naturally expect their colleagues to work harder than should reasonably be expected to.
If a company wants to change the world, they likely have a toxic culture. Again, not necessarily true. Listen, I mean, there's a point to be made here. Passion can cause new problems you didn't expect, but boring jobs can cause problems you didn't expect either. If you're curious about both, try out both types of jobs, both types of work environments. It's going to help you figure out where you fit best.
Even the best, most exciting job in the world would quickly become unbearable with a useless manager that takes their shortcomings out on their workers. Working a boring job gives you a better chance of finding a good manager who will make your time at work not totally miserable.
Working a boring job gives you a chance at getting a better manager. Not necessarily true. Getting a boring job to be happier is a legitimate path. You're not going to hear me talk a lot about it because on this channel I talk about something different. It's not called the dream job, but it has purpose. You think about the impact you want to have on the world and whether that's meaningful or not to you. And I'm going to tell you the stories of so many people who did that. However, that might not be a fit for you right now. You might want to try a boring job. But to pretend like it's going to be a better environment, a better situation, make you happier because it is boring by definition, that's not the way it works. This is worth trying for some people. Go work at a boring company for a year, 2 years, 3 years, just to learn what it's like. It's a legitimate path, not the one I'd recommend.
I have a theory about why we all love movies like Office Space or TV shows like Parks and Rec and The Office so much. These shows all highlight the realities of a boring workplace to a comically ridiculous degree, but at the same time, they are also very comfortable places to work.
That's insightful. I gotta say, why do we watch these shows? I love Office Space. I watched The Office twice. It's fantastic. How come I loved watching The Office and I love Purposeful Jobs when The Office doesn't feature purposeful jobs? The reason we watch TV shows, there's a lot of them. There's entertainment. It might be because you want to live something the opposite than you're living in your day-to-day. To base your own career prospects on the TV shows that you watch, I think that might get you in trouble, okay? We don't want all to work for a space like The Office. We don't want a boss like Michael Scott, and there are great reasons for that. Key takeaways. Number one, there's value in boring jobs. Think about this as an opportunity for you. What advantages could this create for you if you worked in a boring job? I've met people in seemingly boring jobs for boring companies that are happy, they're being well paid, and it's a great fit. Number two, be weary of a cynical take of work. Corporations are evil. If you work in an exciting company, you'll also work in a toxic workplace culture. Disengage from enjoying your work. Some of these experiences might be true, the lived reality of millions of people. However, you have so much control and power over your working life. If you think that, you should also consider interviewing people who love what they do, who really enjoy going to work, who are using their strengths, who are being paid well. This is also an experience that millions of people are having. And if you think that's not true, take a look, talk to people, do some research. This channel is going to show you a process on how to discover that, and that's worth investing time into. If you're still on the fence, dream job, boring job, try both. Both are different paths, legitimate paths that other people have taken. Overall, I do have a recommendation. I want to ask you, what difference would it make if you believe that you're going to enjoy your career and you'll be paid well? What if you could have both? What if you could use your strengths and have passion? That's the better starting off point if you're researching your career options, rather than give up before you've started and think work is evil, I'm not going to enjoy myself. That's a tough place to start your career. I guess what this comes down to is, what do you want to be? Do you want to be optimist, a realist, or a pessimist? That's going to approach how you study the workplace to find out what's really true or not. What are the opportunities that really exist out there? Are they boring? Are they dream jobs, or somewhere in between? If you enjoy a less cynical view about the workplace, subscribe to this channel where you'll learn about exciting possibilities for your career and how much you can enjoy it. See you in the next video.